Rangers are on the verge of pulling off another big piece of transfer business as the summer window starts to wind down. It's in a hectic period at Ibrox, no doubt about it. And with every passing day, the pressure builds, not just on the pitch, but in the boardroom too. Russell Martin, now fully in the hot seat, knows better than anyone that this job comes with no breathing room. The fans want results, and they want them now. No excuses, no delays. And while the gaffer's trying to put his stamp on this squad, the reality is that there's still a long way to go. The start of the season's been far from ideal. There's no hiding from that. The loss to Club Brugge at home lit a fire under the support, and not in a good way. 3 goals conceded inside 20 minutes at Ibrox. That's the kind of thing that doesn't just sting, it haunts you. And Martin, having worn the shirt himself in years gone by, knows just how unforgiving this place can be when things go sideways. But that's life in Glasgow. When you wear the badge, you carry the weight of history. Every trophy missed, every managerial misstep from the past, it all lingers. New signings, young talent, fresh ideas, it's all well and good, but patience? That's in very short supply around these parts. The crowd demands immediate results, and rightly so. This is Rangers Football Club. Standards here aren't just high, they're relentless. And so, with the clock ticking on the window, Martin is pushing forward, looking to wrap up a defender deal that's now in its final stages. The player in question? Ben Davies. A name that won't surprise too many, considering how his role at the club has faded. Truth be told, his time at Ibrox has been winding down for a while. Once a promising addition, Davies is now staring at the exit door, with a move to Oxford United looking all but done. Let's be clear, this isn't a panic sale. It's a strategic move. Davies is on big wages, and for a player who's not kicked a ball in anger for Rangers this season, those figures start to look like a luxury the club can't afford. He was left out of the preseason plans entirely, and not even making the bench for competitive games? That tells its own story. Martin has made his decision, and Davies isn't part of it. From Oxford's point of view, it could be a smart bit of business. They're stepping up into the championship and need experience at the back. Davies, with his background in the English leagues and a solid campaign on loan at Birmingham City last season, brings that in spades. 44 games in one season, helping Birmingham clinch promotion. It's not nothing. That sort of consistency is gold dust in the championship. But for Rangers, it's more than just about finding Davies a new club. This is about financial structure, squad balance, and planning for the future. The word is that Davies and Matondo together are earning in the region of £55,000 a week. That's close to $3 million a year, money that could be far better spent on players who are actually contributing on the pitch. So letting Davies go, even on loan, clears space for more pressing needs. And let's not ignore the contract situation either. Davies is in the final year of his deal. Keep him around, and you risk losing him for nothing next summer. But if Oxford includes a purchase option in the loan agreement, suddenly, you're looking at recouping something from a player who's no longer in the plans. It's not ideal, but it's pragmatic, and right now, Rangers can't afford sentiment. Now, while the Davies exit grabs headlines, it's the bigger picture that should be the real talking point. Because this is all part of a broader rebuild under Russell Martin. New arrivals have come in, some big gambles have been made, and a few familiar faces are already packing their bags. It's a classic new manager scenario, but with the added edge that comes from being at a club where second chances don't come easy. What we're seeing now is Martin trying to reshape a squad that still bears the fingerprints of past regimes. That takes guts, it takes vision, and it takes time, though that's exactly what he doesn't have. Supporters are already voicing concerns. The Brugge defeat wasn't just a blip, it was a warning sign. The boos, the frustration, the early exits from the stands, that wasn't just about losing a game. It was about the manner of the loss. 3 goals conceded in less than 20 minutes, and little fight shown until it was too late. Danilo's goal gave the team a lifeline, sure. But let's be honest, the fans weren't clinging to hope, they were clinging to pride. Nobody wants to see Ibrox humbled like that, especially on a European night. And while it's true that 2-legged ties offer a chance for redemption, the margin for error is razor thin. Bruges, on their day, can put you to the sword. And with a 2-goal deficit heading to Belgium, the odds are long. Max Aarons tried to strike a confident tone after the match, insisting there's belief in the dressing room. And fair play to him, he's saying all the right things. Talking about building something, about needing time, about the team being capable of turning things around. But talk is cheap in this city. The only thing that matters is what happens on the pitch. Aarons pointed to Brugge's own comeback in the previous round as proof that anything's possible. That's fine, and technically he's not wrong. But Rangers aren't Brugge, and fans aren't interested in hypotheticals. They want to see heart, grit, and above all, results. Still, there were positives to take from the second half, even if they were slim. The team came out with a bit more energy, a bit more belief. But it was too little, too late. In games like these, you can't afford to hand your opponent a 3-goal cushion and expect to claw it back. The damage was done in those opening exchanges. That's where the tie was likely lost. And that's exactly why Martin's under the microscope now. Every decision, from tactics to transfers, is being judged in real time. Fans aren't waiting for the end of the season to pass verdict. They're watching every touch, every substitution, every press conference. That's the heat that comes with the Rangers' job. You can either handle it, or it burns you. For Davies, the move to Oxford might just be the fresh start he needs. A chance to get back to playing regular football, in a league he knows well, at a club with momentum. For Rangers, it's a chance to move on from a player whose chapter at Ibrox has clearly come to a close. It's not glamorous, it's not headline-grabbing, but it's necessary. And make no mistake, this isn't the end of the wheeling and dealing. The window's still open, and Rangers aren't done. Whether it's more departures or one last key signing, the squad Martin takes into the heart of the season will look different from the one that started it. The question is, will it be better? What makes this rebuild even more challenging is the weight of expectation that comes attached to every decision. At a club like Rangers, you don't get the luxury of easing into the job. There's no soft launch, no grace period. The fans have been through too many false dawns in recent years to sit back and trust the process blindly. They want proof. And right now, that proof has to come in the form of performances and points, not potential. And while Russell Martin is still in the early days of his tenure, already the questions are starting to pile up. Is the squad good enough? Is the system working? Can this team, as it's currently built, deliver when it matters most? These aren't just questions being asked by pundits or fans on social media. They're in the air at Ibrox every match day. You can feel it. There's a nervous energy that surrounds this new era, and every stumble feeds the doubt. The Brugge defeat didn't just sting because of the result. It hurt because of the way it exposed so many familiar flaws. Soft goals conceded early. A lack of urgency when it mattered most. Heads dropping too quickly. These aren't new issues. They're problems that have haunted Rangers across multiple seasons and multiple managers. And that's why the reaction from the stands was so fierce. This isn't just about one bad night. It's about a pattern that fans have grown sick of seeing repeated. That said, we also need to acknowledge that change takes time, even if time is in short supply. Martin's trying to implement a new identity, bring in new players, and shift the mentality of the dressing room. That's not an overnight fix. You can see glimpses of what he's trying to do: more structured pressing, more emphasis on ball retention, quicker transitions. But when the team doesn't have the confidence, even the best tactical ideas can fall flat. Right now, it's like watching a group that knows what it's supposed to do, but isn't quite sure how to execute it under pressure. And that brings us back to the transfer window. Because if Martin's vision is going to take hold, he needs the right tools for the job. That's why the Davies departure, while seemingly minor in the grand scheme, actually signals something bigger. It's not just about freeing up wages or trimming the squad. It's about making room for players who actually fit the style and mindset Martin wants. And it's about sending a message that nobody's safe and nobody gets a free ride based on past performances or reputation. This is especially true in the back line, where Rangers have looked far too vulnerable. A lot of that comes down to individual errors, players switching off, getting caught out of position, losing focus. But it's also systemic. If the team presses high, but the defenders sit deep, you end up with massive gaps. And right now, Rangers are being punished in those spaces far too often. That's why the next offensive signing, whoever it ends up being, has to be more than just a stopgap. It has to be someone who can lead, organize, and bring a bit of steel to a unit that's far too shaky. The midfield is another area under the microscope. There's talent there, no doubt, but is there enough balance? Too often this season we've seen Rangers struggle to control games in the middle of the park. Either the tempo's too slow, or there's no real bite when the opposition gets on the front foot. In Europe especially, you can't afford passengers in midfield. Everyone needs to work, everyone needs to press, and everyone needs to show up in big moments. Right now, the engine room isn't firing the way it should, and that filters forward into the attack. Because when you don't dominate midfield, your forwards end up isolated. Danilo's goal against Brugge was a bright spot, but he's been feeding off scraps more often than not. You can't expect your number 9 to carry the load if he's getting 1 or 2 half chances a game. He needs service. He needs support. And he needs to feel like the team is set up to play to his strengths, not just to contain the opposition. That's where the coaching staff really have to earn their stripes. Because there's no shortage of quality in this Rangers squad. It's just not clicking yet. Whether that's down to confidence, chemistry, or conditioning, it needs to be solved quickly. The season doesn't wait. The fans won't wait. And Europe certainly won't wait. If this group wants to be playing Champions League football, they've got to show that they belong at that level, not just talk about it after matches. The pressure cooker environment at Ibrox makes everything harder, but it also makes success that much sweeter. When you win here, you're a hero. When you lose, you're under siege. That's the deal. And that's why mental toughness is just as important as tactical awareness. The players have to block out the noise, embrace the challenge, and fight for each other. That starts with the leaders in the squad, whether they wear the armband or not. The dressing room needs voices that demand more, not just in training, but in the 90 minutes that matter. One thing that can't be ignored either is the importance of fan backing. When Ibrox is bouncing, it's a fortress. It gives the players an extra yard. But when frustration turns into groans and boos, it becomes a burden. That's the reality. And while the supporters are right to expect more, the connection between team and crowd is vital, especially in Europe, especially in tight matches. That energy can be the difference between a late equalizer and a deflated walk off the pitch. And let's be honest, there's still a long season ahead. A lot can change in a few weeks. A couple of strong performances, a key signing hitting the ground running, and suddenly the whole narrative shifts. But it has to start now. The window is closing. The fixtures are piling up. The margins are thin. There's no more room for excuses. The upcoming second leg in Belgium is massive, not just for Champions League hopes, but for morale. A good result there, even if it's not enough to go through, could restore some belief. A bad one, and the pressure on Martin ramps up tenfold. That's the fine line he's walking, and he knows it. Every choice he makes from here on out matters. And while fans are rightly focused on the now, the club's also having to think about the medium and long term. Who are the players you build around? Who needs to move on? What kind of identity do you want Rangers to have? Not just this season, but going forward. These are tough questions, and the answers won't come overnight. But they can't be avoided. Martin seems committed to the project. He's got ideas, he's got drive. But ideas alone don't win titles. Implementation does. Execution does. And that comes down to preparation, man management, and setting standards. The culture in the dressing room has to reflect the ambition of the club. If it doesn't, then it's just talk. And talk doesn't bring trophies back to Ibrox. The days of sentimentality are gone. This club has to be ruthless in the pursuit of success. That means tough calls like the one involving Davies. That means bringing in players who fit, not just in terms of skill, but mentality. That means not settling for almost or we're getting there. Rangers don't exist to compete, they exist to win. So the spotlight stays firmly on Martin and his squad. There's no hiding from it. The next few weeks will tell us a lot about what this team is really made of. Not just in terms of talent, but in terms of heart, resilience, and the ability to bounce back when it really matters. Because this isn't just another season, it's a defining one. For the manager, for the players, and for the direction this club is heading. The noise isn't going away. The pressure isn't easing up. But that's part of what makes this club what it is. That's part of what makes nights at Ibrox so special. When the fight is matched by the fury, and when belief turns into brilliance on the pitch. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The footballing landscape in Scotland has rarely been short drama, but the latest wave of intrigue comes from a voice many did not expect to speak so candidly, shaking the very foundations of Ibrox and sending ripples through pubs, press rooms, and living rooms across the nation. James BISGROVE, a figure whose tenure as a leading executive at Rangers was often defined by steady corporate tones and guarded optimism, has now emerged with a revelation that supporters and critics alike are calling nothing short of bombastic. According to whispers now echoing like chants on match day, BISGROVE has alleged that the club's boardroom is not the fortress of unity and vision that has long projected outwardly, but rather a fractured environment plagued by issues both personal and strategic. For a club whose identity is built on the idea of strength, continuity, and heritage, such claims are nothing less than seismic, forcing many to reconsider what lies behind the banners and slogans. The timing is equally curious, arriving just as Rangers attempt to reassert themselves domestically and in Europe, leading some to suspect that these statements are not simply revelations, but carefully placed messages designed to unsettle, to provoke, or perhaps even to warn. The rumor mill, of course, thrives on such disclosures, and in Glasgow, where football is a way of life rather than a pastime, the sense of betrayal or vindication depends entirely on which corner of the city one stands. BISGROVE's claims, presented not as polished press releases but as blunt truths, suggest that long-standing concerns over recruitment, financial stability, and overall ambition may be more than just terrace speculation. Observers have noted that Rangers' attempts to balance their historic stature with the realities of modern football economics have often appeared strained, and now it seems those tensions may extend directly into the corridors of power. Fans who once questioned why certain transfer windows ended with disappointment or why off-field initiatives lacked coherence are suddenly revisiting those doubts with sharper focus. Is it incompetence, division, or perhaps simple overreach from a board determined to match the club's glorious past with a present that refuses to align? The answers, hidden behind polite silence for years, now appear dangerously close to breaking into the open, leaving the faithful to wonder whether the storm inside the boardroom is fiercer than anything faced on the pitch. At the heart of this storm lies the peculiar position of trust that executives like BISGROVE hold. For in football clubs of such stature, leadership is not only about financial reports and sponsorship deals, but about embodying the very values that supporters cling to in their weekly rituals. The suggestion that the Rangers board is fractured, possibly embroiled in disputes over vision, priorities, and internal authority, cuts deeper than most business conflicts ever could, for it touches the emotional currency of loyalty and identity. Questions arise not only about the individuals currently guiding the club, but also about the systems that allowed such discord to flourish unchecked, if indeed BISGROVE's words are to be taken at face value. Supporters are left in a precarious place. Should they rally behind a board accused of dysfunction, or should they lend weight to the voice of a man who, until recently, was one of its key architects? In pubs, fan forums, and talk-in radio shows, speculation has quickly transformed into fiery debate, with some demanding accountability and others urging caution, wary of being swept away by rumor dressed as revelation. The lack of immediate response from the club only adds to the tension, making silence feel like confirmation. What is particularly striking is the impact of such statements on the psychology of Rangers season. For in football, perception often shapes performance as much as tactics and form. Players, no matter how insulated by management, are unlikely to remain untouched by the swirl of rumors concerning those who pay their wages and direct their futures. Supporters, meanwhile, are split between unease and defiance, with some seeing BISGROVE's words as an opportunity for reform and transparency, while others view them as a destabilizing act that risks undermining the fragile balance required for success. Rivals across the city, ever eager to seize upon signs of weakness, have wasted no time in fanning the flames, framing the supposed turmoil at Ibrox as proof of long-term instability. Yet beneath the noise lies a darker question. If the board truly is as divided as suggested, what does this mean for Rangers' ability to compete in an era when cohesion and clarity are as vital off the field as talent and tactics are on it? A revelation framed as gossip thus transforms into an existential inquiry, reaching into the very core of the club's future. As the days roll on, the sense of uncertainty does not fade but rather grows, fed by the absence of clear denial or reassurance from those implicated. Scottish football has always thrived on the drama of its great rivalry, but in this case the drama seems to stem not from the pitch, but from the political theater of the boardroom. James BISGROVE's words, whether motivated by conscience, frustration, or strategic calculation, have already achieved one undeniable result. They have forced the nation to look beyond the chants, banners, and 90 minutes of spectacle to confront the often invisible machinery that drives a club's destiny. For Rangers, a team bound by tradition but striving for modern relevance, the suggestion of deep-rooted boardroom issues is more than a passing story. It is a potential turning point that could define not only their season, but their trajectory for years to come. Whether these revelations spark reform, resignations, or simple reinforcement of the status quo remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The echo of BISGROVE's bombshell will linger in Scotland's footballing consciousness far longer than any single match result, a whisper that may grow into a roar if left unanswered. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comment section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.